Hey guys, today I wanted to talk to you about whether mixing and mastering is easy or is it hard. It all depends on where you are at. If you are a beginner, it'll obviously be a little bit difficult, but with time and experience, your mixing and mastering will improve. I wanted to tell you about the analog versus the digital in the box mixing. Of course, it does make a difference when a pro mixing engineer is mixing through an analog console, but that does not mean that you cannot get radio ready worthy sounding mixes in the box from your home studio. That is possible with a decent quality headphones and studio monitors to begin with. Mixing is all about balance. People always go on skill level, they'll go on techniques, but they will never ever go on balance. And I have actually realized that a few years while I was practicing my mixing and mastering techniques. Now I always go on balance. The second thing that you guys should always do is pull in a reference track before you start your mixing process. That is going to give you a perspective on how your mixes should sound compared to a professional track. And that will also tell you how the professional track sounds in your room, on your speakers, in your headphones. If you can get your mix to sound as close to the reference track as possible, you know that you have a good mix going for yourself. You should also, apart from mixing with reference tracks, you should take your mixes to a professional studio engineer who can give you feedback on how to improve your mixing and mastering. Only go to those people who are willing to help you. Like, you don't need to really go to people who will only demoralize you and only who are going to discourage you from trying to achieve something. So, what you should do is if you have a few friends who are mixing and mastering, go to them and ask them, how is this sounding? What can I do to improve it? If they are giving you proper feedback on how to get your mixes going, like on how you can get them improved, please go to them. Do not go to people who will only criticize your mixing and say it is bad, even though it is good. Of course, now mixing is very subjective. Not everybody is going to like what you mix, and you are not going to like what everybody else mixes. If a sound engineer who is your friend can tell you where you are exactly going wrong and how to improve that, your mixes are going to sound amazing. Forget what the other people say. Just go to these one or two people who are willing to help you genuinely. They are the only ones who you actually need to go to, because the other people, they are only going to demoralize you, they are only going to discourage you, and you will think that your mixes sound trash when they are actually sounding good. Mixing in mono. Now, usually people always mix in stereo, which is completely fine. What you can actually do is for your mixing, you can always reference your mixes in mono. In your digital audio workstation in your software, you will have a plugin, a stereo with plugin or a gain plugin that has a mono switch. So you can just flip to mono and stereo throughout the mixing process. This will not only give you problems with your balance decisions, but will also tell you about phase issues. So if you are recording a guitar with two microphones, it'll tell you about the phase problems, which you can easily fix in mono, and if you have a good mix in mono, it's going to sound amazing in stereo. So don't ever leave out the option of referencing your mixing in mono. It's really, really helpful. The plugins that you actually need for mixing. You don't need fancy plugins, like you don't need to spend thousands of dollars or rupees on the plugin just because the pros use that. You can get a decent enough great quality mix with only 5 plugins: EQ, compression, reverb, delay, and saturation. These are the only things that you actually need to get great sounding mixes. There are many ways to mix, like there are many techniques, and there are different styles of how different people use, but each engineer is different, and whatever way suits you, you should be mixing on that. Not like what how I mix, you might not like that way, and how you mix, I might not like it that way. So it's very subjective, and just go on what sounds good to you. The internet, they always have this thing, you boost by 3 dB, cut by 3 dB in your EQ, or take a 3 to 6 dB of gain reduction in your compressor. Well, that sometimes, yes, it does matter, but in the end, it all depends on the balance and on your ear, on how it's sounding to you. Sometimes I have needed to do 10 dB boosts on EQ to get that instrument pop out of the mix, and that is completely okay. Use different techniques of stacking compressors on your vocals. It's going to give you a better and a fuller sound. If you have to experiment with reverb on your master bus to get a little bit of that glue, do it. There are no rules to mixing and mastering. If it sounds good to you, it is good. Be careful about your gain staging and about your levels. You shouldn't be clipping, and you shouldn't be going way near the 0 dB mark on your master bus. Keep enough of headroom for mastering. Gain staging. Now, whenever we record any instrument or any virtual instrument, you should always check your mix first in pre fader. You should check your levels. That will actually tell you whether you are peaking in your pre-fader, because your plugins have a sweet spot. So you should always get enough of headroom in your pre-fader. So then once you turn it to post-fader, it is not even clipping at all, nor is it clipping in pre-fader, and you have a sweet spot for your plugins, which will make your mix sound cleaner and better. Once you're starting to mix, open a reference track. That is very, 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 very important. But also get your levels right in your pre fader before you even touch any volume knob or pan knob or any of your EQ or your compression. What is exactly EQ and compression? EQ is a smart volume knob. You can cut and boost certain frequencies at certain levels, and it all depends on how you want your track to sound. I would first suggest, of course, everybody has a different opinion on this, and this is completely fine. I would suggest that first remove all the bad frequencies from your track and make room for the good stuff that is left. Then compress your tracks, and then use a third EQ to enhance the tone of what is already left. You should always try to experiment with high pass filters, low pass filters, notches, your different EQ settings that you have. I would not rely on presets. I would use my ears to make my decisions. So you can just try and see what sounds good to you. So let me know in the comment section below, what are your ideas of mixing? How do you mix? What are your levels that you put it at? Remember, there are no rules. If it sounds good, it is good. So just let me know what are your techniques that you use. How do you balance your mix? Do you even mix in mono? Do you use a reference track? Do let me know. And I'll be putting up some links in the description box below to some people whose videos I have seen that have really improved my mixing and mastering. Okay, so that's it, guys, for today. Hope you guys enjoyed this talk. If you did, then don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more updates. Thanks. Bye.